Hey everybody, Richard Denise here with Weichert Realtors of Space Place, and you are watching the Real Estate Rundown with Richard Denise. I've got my buddy Dominic Gill in studio with me as always.
Last week last time I was the ultimate professional in my industry. I'm just Buddy this week.
You're just, the ultimate professional, the guy that keeps everything going, the owner of Social Media Visual, president. We'll keep going with that, right? We appreciate you guys jumping on here. Whoa, Matt Weaver, Catherine Neese. Hey, honey, Chris Cotton, Kim Smith, Ken Wilson, Brandon Snyder. We got my man Randy Wilson on here. Thank you guys. Please share, please comment, please like. We appreciate all you guys. We want to engage. We want to give you guys a resource. The reason we started doing the Real Estate Rundown a long time ago, over a year now?
Yeah.
What about 14 months or something?
14 months, something like that,
insane. We want to help good people get to a better place. We want to be a resource so that we can help you answer the real estate questions that you guys might have. We usually have experts on. I think I've used that a few too many times. Zach Gordon jumped on here. I appreciate it, brother. Miss Pauline, Mercedes Bloomberg, Teresa, Dan Strickland. Thank you guys so much. Tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about taking the drama out of real estate. There's a whole lot of drama in real estate. You always got somebody talking about somebody doing something. This person stole this customer or this listing. At the end of the day, that's a terrible reputation for real estate.
Yeah, no, they used to call me Dramanic.
Dramanic, I like it. Surprised you are not asleep. We actually took a little nap. We got a little bit left. We're going to go eat it. There wasn't quite enough left for one more person, but, we can share it.
Chris, I thought about you. Richard's like, no.
Absolutely not. Heck no. Hey, next time we have hot dogs and hamburgers, we'll invite you over. Shrimp I'm keeping. I don't get shrimp very often, so next time we bring it up, though, we'll get enough for everybody. Mr. Wilhite, we appreciate you jumping on here. Drama in real estate. So a lot of times you have agents that are kind of going back and forth at each other. Maybe they still act like it's high school and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's very important that you pick a professional realtor. It can be your friend, your brother, your sister, your mom, whatever the case might be, but they need to be able to compose themselves. A lot of times there's some back and forth in negotiations. There's a lot of emotions that can happen, and that's fine. We want the buyers, we want the sellers to have emotions involved because most of the time they're purchasing their first home or they're selling their home that they bought 20 years ago and they've raised their family in. So it's huge that the realtor stays in control.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And you wouldn't think this would be a huge issue, but when you start looking at all the interactions that you have to deal with in this, I'll be honest with you, I don't like every realtor that I work with. Some of them I can't hardly stand, but most of them wouldn't know that. I try and be fair with everybody.
I think they know.
Well, you may be onto something there. But at the end of the day, I try and make sure that it's a professional environment. Regardless of my personal feelings towards you, my job is to represent my client, whether that's the buyer or the seller. And sadly, that doesn't always happen.
No.
You don't always have the utmost professionals out there. So it's important that when you pick a realtor, that you kind of feel them out. Make sure that they can control their temper. Make sure that they can control their attitudes. Because I've actually had in the past realtors refuse to give me information when I had a buyer ready to go, but they wouldn't pass along the information. And to me, that's complete misrepresentation.
Absolutely.
What they're doing in that situation is they're weakening the position of their seller. And essentially, that could sit on the market. The house could sit on the market for a month, 2 months, another year. And if they don't give me the information, I can't get my buyer to buy it. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about helping good people get to a better place, a buyer and seller being happy with a transaction, and then moving on to the next phase in their life.
Absolutely. And it just kind of brings up that when you're negotiating on their behalf, there's this Trump. I heard Trump.
Trumpism.
It is a Trumpism. There's a quote I heard by Donald Trump the other day where he says, "If you're not willing to walk away, you're not ready to negotiate." And then whenever a realtor is not ready to walk away because their money's on the line, it's their commission, it's their paycheck.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to separate yourself. Not sometimes. You always have to separate yourself from you and the money that's coming down the line. And you have to go and be able to walk away from it for the best interest of your clients.
That's right.
So that you could take out that drama so you can have a smoother transaction. That's something that's really important, not just on the client side, but as a realtor,
that's right.
You have to do that as
well.
well.
We got a bunch of folks on here, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in to the Real Estate Rundown. I'm Richard Neese. We got Rob Cook and Richard Bailey Karen Dawson, Kim Malone, Lacey Lott. I hope you're doing well, Lacey. We're actually going to build a house not too far from your house down there. Tim Knox, we were just talking about you, brother. John Gill and Jason Grimmett, thank you guys so much. So we really got to take the emotions out of it, and that's important because of all that's at stake.
Yes.
A lot like attorneys. You have accountants, attorneys, and real estate agents. They have a fiduciary interest. Mm-hmm. They've got to protect their client's best interest. That's what it's about. And with real estate agents, that means we want to, as a seller, we want to get you the most money possible without giving away any information.
Right.
That's going to weaken your position. On the buyer side, we want to fight to get every dollar out of it. I had a deal with a realtor, and I'll tell you, it was a pretty tough deal. It was real tough. We had repairs, and we had all sorts of other stuff going on.
Dominic Gill.
No, it wasn't Dominic this time. And I'll tell you, that realtor, I was very impressed. I didn't like how aggressive she was towards me, but I was very impressed with the way she represented her client.
Yeah.
And I can have a professional respect for somebody. I ain't got to like it, but she was very skilled at what she did. And she actually texted me later and said, hey, I hate to give you a hard time about all this stuff. I know I'm being pushy on it. And I said, if I felt like you were doing something unethical or something wrong, I would address it. I think you're doing a great job representing your client, and I have a lot of respect for that.
And that's where whenever I was going into any listing presentation or working with buyers the first time, the first thing I would tell them is it's my job to be the bad guy.
That's right. Yep.
That's part of me representing you, is that I'm the one who's going to go out there and be up front and be the arrogant person in that situation.
Sometimes it takes that.
And you have to be for your client's sake, not because your paycheck's on the line. Yep. And it's not for creating drama. It's to get something done.
That's right. And sometimes you got to be the bad guy, and sometimes you have to use your rapport, your what's it called, social currency. You've got to talk with a realtor. You have that relationship with them, and that can actually put you in a better position because you've worked deals with them before. You have a personal relationship.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, both of you guys know that you're representing the client.
That's right.
So if you,
I can think of plenty of examples in Coleman of realtors who do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of them,
and a lot of the good ones do. And you've got to understand.
All the good ones do.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Brenda Elliott, my broker, always says you got to play nice in the sandbox. But at the same time, you got to represent as well as you can.
Exactly.
And that's what it comes down to. We got Marianne Kelly on here, Caleb Barksdale. I appreciate you getting on here, brother.
Rob Mosley Jr.
JR, thank you, brother. Mm-hmm. Hey, please share, please comment. We're talking about taking the drama out of real estate. We just want to. The biggest thing for me is I want to make sure you're being represented properly. You don't have to use me. You don't have to use folks at my office, but you need to pick a good realtor that has the skill sets you need, because a lot of times people don't realize how many skills you have to be a good realtor.
Yeah. How many hats you have to wear, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, some folks are better at the listing side, some folks are better at the buyer's side, but at the end of the day, you both have to be good at negotiating.
Right.
It doesn't matter which side you're working on, you have to negotiate. Because if you're just staunch and you're the mean guy, you're the butthole, that at that point, if nobody wants to work with you, you're doing a disservice to your client. Mm-hmm. On the other side, if you give away all the information, that's a terrible thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my client's going through a divorce and this is going on, and they're moving out next week. When you start,
and you're just writing all this stuff down. Okay,
that's exactly,
okay.
And that's what I do. I just say, I understand. I'm talking to other realtors. I'm trying to figure out as much information as I can. And, we need to do another show on representation. Yeah. Because in different situations, representation could be more important or less important.
You're right.
A limited consensual as opposed to a transaction brokerage. I mean, there's a huge difference on that.
Right, absolutely.
And most people don't even realize that.
Right. Isn't it a rule in the Valley MLS that you were telling me about that you couldn't put in your listing motivated sellers for that very reason?
Yep, and it gives away a position. It's not representing your client to the fullest. You're really pushing away that fiduciary interest, and so if people come in and know that you'll take less, well, what's the point in even putting it at that price?
Yeah, exactly.
And I see that too often too with for sale by owners and folks that haven't done the real estate job before. Mm-hmm. The first thing they do when I call them and ask them about listing or something like that, we'll talk about price, and they say, well, we'll take a little bit less. That's not firm. Well, why do you even put that number on there?
Exactly. That never made sense to me. And it's the same thought process behind that is where it's coming from is that they originally know what their house is worth.
Yep.
And they know what they need to get for the house. Instead of pricing it where the house is valued at, they overprice it so they have that wiggle room so that other person
exactly right.
will get they feel like they're getting a better deal, that they're getting a small win. Well, if you say you have we have wiggle room right off the bat.
Yep.
Then you gave away that whole thing into where now they feel like they got to get even more out of you.
That's exactly right. And I always tell my folks, I want to price the house at market price as close as possible.
Absolutely.
If we can get market value, guess what's going to happen? We're going to get multiple offers,
right.
and that's going to drive up the price.
Right.
If you want to push it higher, you're going to get less offers. They're going to drive down the price. You'll end up with less money than you did to begin with.
And I'm not a realtor anymore, so I'll say one of the things I would always encourage people to do. Not everybody did it. In fact, most people didn't. Was I always wanted to go into consideration of closing costs. The seller paid closing costs on the buyer's behalf. If it's an FHA or USDA loan, that's something that way a buyer will be able to buy the house with little to zero money down. I will take that into consideration too, and saying that you want to have that room, but it's really not negotiable at the same time. Sometimes they would roll up the price above it.
Yeah.
And that would be
all
the better.
That's what we did on a deal we just worked on.
Oh yeah.
I told my clients that we should have it priced at this. They said, well, let's try it a little bit higher. It was within the tolerance that I was okay with. It sat for 30 days. We lowered it down to the price I had. And at that point, we actually raised the price when we got an offer to roll in closing costs.
Right.
So if we would have started that way, we may have gotten even more. But you never know. I mean, knock on wood, I've been doing this. I've helped, I think we're at like 120 families in the last couple of years. So I've done it a few times. I can see general...
Humble brag.
So Randy Wilson says, mouth shut, ears open, and that's huge.
Yes, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
And Randy was with EMS for a long time, actually owned a company, and that's huge too, because if you're going in there and you're assessing what's going on, before you listen, before you take note of what's going on, there's no way you're going to make the right assessment.
Right.
You've got to listen, you've got to figure out what's going on, and with law enforcement, it's the same way. I'm trying to gather information to see what really happened. And that's the same thing. When I'm talking to realtors, we're on the phone, we're in person. I'm trying to figure out, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're going to have a relationship with those folks. You've got to know what's okay to say and what's not okay to say. And there's actually times when the seller will allow you to say things. Mm-hmm. If they say in writing, it's okay to tell them what we're moving, or
right.
we're having a divorce or something like that.
Right.
Caleb's laughing at us. I don't know why he's laughing, but.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
That was a humble brag, I guess.
Humble brag. That's it.
Priced correctly, huge advantage. You're talking about closing costs, and that's another thing. I'm going to give Brandon a plug real quick at Willow Bend Mortgage. It's so important to get pre-approved, so when you put an offer in, you already know what those closing costs are going to be. And the great thing about those guys is they have a sheet that gives them a good estimate of what it's going to be, and then you get your insurance, you've already got your taxes, and they usually shoot high on that. So a lot of times you can actually, they'll overestimate, and then when you come back, you may be getting money back at closing, or you may be able to add a home warranty or something like that.
Absolutely.
So it's huge to work with professionals. That's the biggest thing. I mean, your brother, sister may be getting a real estate license. That's great. But make sure they know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Because this ain't, I mean, you can get
Or it could be like my family and your brother gets a license and you don't think they know what they're doing.
I'm not even going to go there on that one. So, hey, Mark Nix, we appreciate you jumping on here. Brent D, Zach Thomas, Aaron Ayers, Cody Hip, thank you guys so much. We're trying to help good people get to a better place by giving some information. We're talking about taking the drama out of real estate. And what we mean by that is make sure you're picking a realtor that's not going to bring their personal feelings into the deal.
Absolutely.
You want a buyer that loves you and your family, or you want a buyer's agent that loves you and your family and wants to get you there. But if they bring their emotions in, it can kill a deal. Or it could be misrepresenting if you're the listing agent and you're not allowing, let's say, I was a listing agent and I didn't want to tell these other people that when they showed the house what was going on. If my deal was falling through, something was going on, I want to reach out to every buyer we've had that looked at it and make sure they know something's up. So maybe they put in a backup offer and they raise that price.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of things and there's a lot of nuances that you have in the negotiations.
And another thing with the drama, I've seen this too often, is a house will go under contract with the listing agent.
Oh my gosh, I know where this one's going.
And they would refuse to let the house be shown to any other realtor. Regardless of who has a contract.
Why would you do that?
Right.
There's one reason, because the seller is in a position where maybe they've got a lot of kids, or it's an older family, and it was a serious inconvenience to show. That's the only reason I can see why you would want to do that. Because with backup offers, what do you get? You get leverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to have strength with my seller so that if they come back with ridiculous home repairs, guess what? We got somebody waiting right behind you. Either take this or not.
Absolutely. And that's why you still do open houses even when their house is under contract. Because there have been too many deals that don't go through, fall apart. And so you want to make sure that that's still available to other people and doing your sellers the best service possible. And there was a case where you were about to lose a deal.
Yep, absolutely.
And multiple offers came in after it was under contract. And it was those multiple offers behind it that motivated the people holding the contract
within
to push
the last
forward.
2 weeks. We were set on closing, and we were having some issues with the buyers accepting the repairs that were done. And we had another offer come in that was higher, and they eventually said, you know what, we're good with that. We want the house.
And at this point, he could have put his feelings involved with it because it would have been a two-sider for you at that point.
You're exactly right.
But you kept it straight, and you just gave everyone an equal opportunity at that point. But at that point, you're rooting for him to fall through. Nearly.
I'm not going to say rooting for him.
Nearly. Because it would have been more advantageous for you in that circumstance to take the backup offer. And it was cash, too, wasn't it?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so and that's another example of when you should not put your drama into it, because you could have raised a heck about with the current people under contract and could have scared them off of it by causing lot of drama.
And you've got to have somebody that you trust, and you've got to have somebody that knows what they're doing and is a professional. Because at the end of the day, this is probably going to be one of the biggest transactions of your lives, and you need to have somebody that knows what they're doing. You know, we've got a lot of good agents in Coleman, a lot of top agents that are great. You got agents that maybe working actually a full-time job on the other side, but they know what they're doing. Yep. So just make sure that you vet your real estate agent.
Speaking of brothers, I don't think I know what I'm doing. Got one on right now. Chris is on here. Got Amanda Whitehead, Miss Kathy, Hunter Taylor.
I saw Gerard Homskis jump on here.
Yeah, I see you too, Chris. I see you too.
Mike, is that one of your Louisiana guys there?
Well, who's that?
Mike Jordan. Do you know him?
Mike Jordan. Yeah. It can't be my people. No,
I don't know. Mike, we appreciate you tuning in, man. Please share. We appreciate you watching. Anthony Hamby, we appreciate
Chris
you,
isn't one of my people either, Paul Harper.
By the way. Robbie Calhoun, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments, please put them in if you're concerned or you have questions about negotiations. If you've had a bad run-in before and you want to ask if something was right or wrong or what you think we should do on it, I don't mind giving that information out because, we try and skill up every day. I'm at a great company with Weichert Realtors at Space Place. My broker, Brenda Elliott, she believes in training. She believes in career development. And I love it because I'm going in there and knock on wood, I do a good bit of business, but she's still teaching me on a daily basis. She's still teaching me how to get better. You can smile. It's okay. Jeanette Burden, appreciate you getting on here. But the big thing is make sure that you've got somebody that knows what they're doing. They're representing you well. What we try and do with the Richard Neese team is I have a team of professionals. Dominic is my social media manager. He takes care of the marketing side as far as that goes. I've got Kathy Gray, my executive assistant, who takes care of she pretty much keeps me going every day. I mean, she's got me on task, doing the things we need to be doing. We've got a great broker. We've got almost 100 agents at Weichert Realtors Space Place. And one thing I want to give a shout out for is during Blumenfest, we actually had about 16 to 20 agents that came down here and held my houses open.
I remember that huge. Because we were running around going from place to place shooting live.
And it's awesome to see that support, man.
Join from Vegas.
We appreciate it, Chris.
Hey, bet it all on green. Bet it all on green.
Oh, my goodness. Lucky number 7, right?
That's it.
But, it's great to have that team of professionals. I work with great lenders. I work with some great closing attorneys. I try and get the folks that know what they're doing. That's the biggest thing. Sometimes it might cost a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it all comes back. I promise you.
Absolutely.
And I try and have a different tool for every situation. We've got local banks that are great for certain situations, mortgage brokers that are good for others. There's so many things that we try and do to make it the best customer experience and the easiest transition from one phase of your life to the next.
Okay. Sounds good.
So is that how we're going to close? We appreciate you guys.
Well, close it with this. I got to go and give this bet to Christopher right now.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And that's for you, Christopher. Just a little plug special for you right there.
Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the Real Estate Rundown. If nobody else has any more questions, we're going to wait just a second because of the delay. We really want to help good people get to a better place. We want to answer your questions if you have them about real estate. If there's something you want to know more about, we'll bring a specialist on that'll sit right here, and Dominic will sit over there.
I like those. Believe it or not, I like those.
That's right.
Those are nice ones.
But we'll bring those folks on. We'll answer your questions. We're not trying to sell you. We're trying to help you, and that's the biggest thing. I hope you guys have a great night.
Do it! Just